Imagine for a second that you are sitting in a beige cubicle in 1999. It is late October. The air smells like ozone and stale office coffee. You are looking at a computer monitor that is so deep it takes up half your desk. It weighs as much as a small child. You press the power button. You hear that satisfying mechanical clunk. Then, the whir of a cooling fan that sounds like a miniature jet engine. You hear the grinding, scratching noise of a hard drive searching for data. It feels mechanical. It feels solid. It feels like you are operating a machine that you can understand. If it breaks, you could probably open it up and see a loose wire. The world was optimistic then. We were told that connecting everyone would make us all friends. We were told that global trade was the ultimate peace treaty. We thought the internet was going to be a library. We never imagined it would become a battlefield. Now, snap back to 2026. Look at your phone. It is a sleek, silent slab of black glass. It has no moving parts. It is cold to the touch. But inside that glass, there are billions of tiny switches turning on and off faster than your brain can comprehend. That phone is not just a tool. It is a spy. It knows where you sleep. It knows your heart rate. It knows who you voted for in the last election. And the tiny silicon brain inside it is no longer just a calculator. It is a hostage. You might feel safe in your living room, but the truth is, your refrigerator, your car, your bank account, and your pacemaker are currently on the front lines of the most dangerous war in human history. We are not fighting over oil anymore. We are fighting over sand. Specifically, we are fighting over processed sand that has been melted, purified, and etched with light to create the thinking rock we call silicon. But here is the twisted part. This is not a war that will be fought with soldiers storming a beach in Normandy. It is a war of supply chains. It is a war where a single factory shutting down in Taiwan means you cannot buy a car in Texas. It is a silent suffocation. We have built a global economy that rests entirely on a fragile wafer of silicon. And now, the two biggest bullies in the schoolyard are trying to smash each other's toys. Today, we are going to look at the 7 specific reasons why the chip war between the United States and China is not just a diplomatic issue, but a financial catastrophe waiting to wipe out your purchasing power. Number 1. The Taiwan Trap, putting the global economy on a fault line. Imagine if every drop of insulin in the world came from a single pharmacy. And imagine that pharmacy was built on top of an active volcano. And imagine that 2 neighbors with shotguns were standing in the parking lot, arguing over who owns the deed to the land. That is exactly, without exaggeration, the situation with Taiwan and a company called TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. They make 92% of the advanced chips in the world. These are not the simple chips in your toaster. These are the brains inside your iPhone and the guidance systems of the F-35 fighter jet. For 40 years, Western Wall Street executives made a calculation. They looked at the spreadsheets and said, it is cheaper to let Taiwan build it. They have the engineers. They work longer hours. We will just design the chips in California. It was the ultimate outsourcing of our own survival. We put our entire digital brain on an island that China claims is their wayward province. If China decides to blockade that island, even without firing a single missile, the world stops. I do not mean the stock market goes down a few points. I mean the world stops. Let me give you the timeline. Day 1 of a blockade. Apple shares drop 40%. Nvidia drops 50%. Panic hits the bond market. Day 7. Automobile factories in Detroit, Stuttgart, and Tokyo shut down the assembly lines because modern cars need thousands of chips to function. Day 30. This is where it gets visceral. Medical equipment manufacturing halts. No more new MRI machines. No more high-tech pacemakers. The cloud servers that run the banking system start to fail because they cannot get replacement parts. We are talking about $2 trillion of value vanishing. That is not a recession. That is a depression. Number 2, the complexity crisis, or why you cannot just build it here. You have probably heard politicians stand in front of cameras, wearing clean hard hats that they clearly just bought, saying, We will build it in America. They make it sound like building a chip factory is like building a Target or a Walmart. You pour some concrete, hire some guys, and boom, you have chips. This is the single biggest lie in modern economics. Manufacturing a cutting-edge microchip is the hardest thing humans have ever attempted to do. It makes landing on the moon look like assembling IKEA furniture. Let me break down the physics for you so you understand why this is a nightmare. To make a modern chip, you need a machine called an EUV lithography scanner. This machine is the size of a bus. It costs $350 million. There is only one company in the world that knows how to make them. Inside this machine, a droplet of molten tin is fired through a vacuum. Then, a high-powered laser blasts that droplet twice. The first blast flattens it like a pancake. The second blast turns it into plasma that is hotter than the surface of the sun. This plasma emits a specific wavelength of light that is then reflected off the smoothest mirrors ever created to draw a map of a city the size of London on a surface the size of a fingernail. And this has to happen 50,000 times per second. You cannot just copy-paste this supply chain into the Arizona desert. The mirrors come from Germany. The chemicals come from Japan. The design software is American. The assembly is Taiwanese. When the United States government passed the CHIPS Act to bring manufacturing back home, they threw billions of dollars at the problem. But money cannot buy time. It takes 10 years to train a master engineer in this field. We are seeing this play out right now. Factories in Arizona are delayed. Costs are double what they are in Taiwan. We are trying to replicate an ecosystem that took 40 years to evolve, and we think we can do it in 4 years just because we wrote a check. Number 3. The inflationary tsunami, paying the price for the divorce. We spent the last 40 years building a global system designed for one thing: deflation. We used cheap labor in Asia and efficient shipping to give you a flat-screen TV for $300. We gave you a supercomputer in your pocket for $1,000. The reason you could afford your lifestyle, even while your wages stagnated, was because technology kept getting cheaper. That era is over, dead, buried. We are now ripping that system apart. We are prioritizing security over efficiency. And let me tell you, security is expensive. When you force companies to build factories in places where labor costs 10 times more, the math changes. This is what economists call the resiliency premium. But let's call it what it really is. It is a tax on paranoia. If Apple has to make your iPhone in a high-cost facility in the US or Europe, the price goes up. We are looking at a future where electronics contribute to inflation instead of fighting it. Imagine a world where your phone costs $3,000. Imagine a world where a basic laptop is a luxury item again, just like it was in 1995. But it goes deeper. The chip war involves tariffs, sanctions, and export controls. These are all fancy words for making things more expensive. When we ban China from buying our chips, they retaliate by banning us from buying their rare earth minerals. It is a feedback loop of destruction. We are effectively building a wall around our technology, but we forgot that we are locking ourselves inside with the high prices. If you thought the inflation of 2024 was painful, wait until you see the price tag soon. Quick pause. Speaking of expensive mistakes and things that keep getting pricier, if you are listening to this and realizing that maybe, just maybe, the mainstream news has been glossing over the terrifying details, you should probably smash that subscribe button. It helps the algorithm find other people who are tired of being treated like children, and it helps me afford my own electricity bill, which is about to skyrocket thanks to reason number 6. And tell me in the comments down below, be honest, if a new phone cost $3,000, would you still buy one every 2 years? Or would you keep your cracked screen until it literally disintegrates? I want to know where your breaking point is. Number 4. The talent void. Buying Ferraris without drivers. Here is a statistic that should terrify you more than any horror movie. In the United States in recent years, we have graduated more students with degrees in sports management than in electrical engineering. We have a culture that celebrates the app developer. We celebrate the day trader. We celebrate the influencer. But we completely forgot to celebrate the people who actually build the physical hardware that makes the software possible. Meanwhile, in China, engineering is a national obsession. They are churning out hardware engineers like an assembly line. So, here is the problem. The government is spending $50 billion to build shiny new factories in Ohio, Texas, and Arizona. But who is going to work there? To run a semiconductor fab, you do not just need warm bodies. You need PhDs in material science. You need technicians who can fix a laser alignment by a nanometer. These people do not exist in the numbers we need. We are already seeing the clash. When TSMC tried to bring their Taiwanese engineers to Arizona to speed up construction, the local unions protested. When American workers were asked to work the grueling 12-hour shifts that are standard in Asia, they quit. We are trying to win a Formula One race by buying the most expensive car on the market, but we forgot to hire a driver who knows how to drive stick shift. The result? These factories will likely run at lower capacity, with lower yields and higher costs. Number 5. The legacy chip flood, losing the war for the washing machine. While the US is obsessed with the super advanced chips, the 3-nanometer chips that run artificial intelligence, China has made a different bet. A smarter bet. They realize that 90% of the world's electronics do not need the cutting-edge stuff. Your washing machine does not need a 3-nanometer chip. Your car's braking system does not need AI. Your microwave runs on what we call legacy chips. Since the US banned China from getting the high-end machines, China said, "Fine, we will master the low end." They are currently building dozens of factories to pump out these legacy chips at a scale the world has never seen. They are going to do to chips what they did to solar panels and steel. They are going to flood the market. They are going to lower the price until every Western competitor goes bankrupt. Why does this matter? Because if China controls the market for the simple chips, they still have a chokehold on the global economy. It does not matter if the US makes the best AI brain in the world. If we cannot get the simple 50-cent chip, the device does not turn on. We are locking the front door to stop them from stealing our jewels, while we leave the back door wide open and let them take the furniture. By the time we realize what happened, our entire industrial base will be dependent on Chinese legacy chips. Quick pause again. Just think about that for a second. Your car has about 1,500 chips in it. Only a handful are smart. The rest just tell your window to roll down or your airbag to deploy. If we lose the ability to make those dumb chips, we lose the auto industry. Period. It makes you wonder if the people running this strategy have ever actually opened up a machine and looked inside. Number 6. The energy vampire, feeding the AI beast. This is where 2026 gets really scary. We are not just building chips for phones anymore. We are building them for massive artificial intelligence models. And there is a dirty secret about AI. It is hungry. A standard Google search uses a tiny amount of electricity. Asking an AI model a question uses 10 to 30 times more energy. These new chip factories we are building, they consume electricity like a small city. We are crashing headfirst into the limits of our power grid. In places like Virginia, they are running out of juice. They are keeping old, dirty coal plants online just to keep the servers running. This chip war is turning into an energy war. We want to bring manufacturing back to the West, but we haven't built the power plants to support it. We are plugging a Tesla into a socket powered by a hamster wheel. And guess who pays for the grid upgrades? You do. On your monthly utility bill. The cost of the chip war is going to show up in your heating bill and your cooling bill. It is the cannibalization of our infrastructure to feed the silicon beast. Number 7. The balkanization of truth. 2 internets for 2 worlds. This is the final nail in the coffin. The ultimate consequence of the chip war is the splitting of the world into 2 distinct technology blocks. The splinternet. For 30 years, we had one internet, one standard. If you bought a phone in New York, it worked in Beijing. If you wrote code in London, it ran on a server in Shenzhen. That interoperability was the engine of global wealth. Now we are destroying it. We are moving toward a world with a Chinese technology stack and a Western technology stack, and they do not talk to each other. Imagine a future where your phone simply stops working when you travel to certain countries. Imagine needing 2 different laptops to do business globally. Imagine scientific research slowing down because Western scientists cannot access Chinese data and vice versa. We are introducing friction into a frictionless system. We are creating a world where truth itself is different depending on which chip is inside your device. A Chinese chip might show you one version of history. An American chip might show you another. It is the end of a shared reality. So, here we are. The verdict is in. We thought we could use commerce as a weapon without hurting ourselves. We were wrong. This isn't just about microchips. It isn't just about factories in the desert or blockade drills in the Pacific. It is about the end of an era. The era of the peace dividend is over. We are returning to a world of walls, suspicion, and redundancy. We are moving from just-in-time manufacturing to just-in-case hoarding. You cannot sue for a lost decade of economic growth. You cannot refund the cost of a fractured world. The chip war is not a game of chess where one side wins and the other loses. It is a grenade fight in a small elevator. The politicians will tell you this is for your safety. They will tell you it is necessary for national security. And maybe, in a dark military sense, they are right. Maybe we need to do this to prevent a hot war. But they never tell you the price tag. The price tag is your purchasing power. The price tag is the stability of your future. The price tag is a world that is poorer, hotter, and more divided. If you found this forensic deep dive into our silicon nightmare valuable, do me a favor. If you want to understand the real story behind the economy, hit that subscribe button. It is free, tax-exempt, and unlike a government-subsidized factory, it actually works. And tell me in the comments, do you think national security is worth paying double for your electronics? Trust me, the story of how the energy crisis is going to collide with this chip shortage is going to be just as wild. Remember, economics isn't just about money. It is about life.